Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Heroes World Quarantine Podcast. I'm your host, Stu Pei. With me is one of the two Heroes World owners, John. Say hello.
Howdy, people.
And our resident variant, Rob. Say hello.
Howdy, people.
We are here to do our very uneducated and goofy review of the new Ryan Reynolds movie, Free Guy. It is in theaters at this moment in time and will probably be on video on demand very shortly as well. But if you have had a chance to see it in the theaters, join us on an adventure as we talk about the film. If not, come back and watch this review.
Sweet fantasy.
Yes, as we've discussed in our other group chat, Mariah has seen it 9 times. She loves this movie. She has seen this movie 9 times.
That's probably because she's forgotten, though. I think it's fair to say she may have forgotten each time. So
what was going on? So yeah. All right. So we're gonna go straight into this. This is our full review. We're gonna go full spoilers, full everything into it because frankly, this is what we're doing it. So that's it. Just to give you a summary, this story is essentially Ryan Reynolds is an NPC character who discovers that he is in a video game, a la The Truman Show, a la all these other things of a character realizing
Truman Show. That's a good, yeah.
The world is not truly what it is. And Millie, who is from the outside world, talks to him, not recognizing that he's an NPC character, to tell him to level up until he's ready to connect with her. And he does the opposite of what everyone else does in the world. He becomes the good guy, and it leads to culmination of him doing good deeds, the two of them coming together to stop the end of the world. And that is a basic summary of this movie. John, what did you like? What did you dislike about this movie?
Yeah, so we saw it in theaters, a lot of fun. So this is an excellent movie going experience. So if you do want big sound, lots of things going on, you want to laugh, this is one of those movies that fits that bill. If you want, I guess it's got a little bit of deep kind of like theory, like almost an iRobot, an NPC becoming sentient life or something like that. So you could, but I don't think they delve to that angle as much. So this is more of a fun movie. I really liked, I really like all the video game elements. So if you are a fan of Fortnite, Grand Theft Auto, any of those type of massive online multiplayer games, I think you are really gonna like the vibe of this movie. So I had a lot of fantastic fun with all these references. I've played Grand Theft Auto online for ever since it dropped. I don't know how many years ago now.
6.
Is it 6 years ago? GTA 5 online, and then the game came out and it didn't have the online ready, and the online appeared later. Ever since that, I've pretty much been stuck with this game. Every time I walk away, it finds some way to pull me back. So this is a world that I was really digging. So things I really liked. Ryan Reynolds is in fine form. If you don't like Ryan Reynolds, definitely don't see this movie. Hence, Andre not being on this podcast. This particular episode, which is fine. I can see why some people don't like his particular brand of humor. But if you like Ryan Reynolds, this is the movie for you. He is essentially carrying, I don't know how much, would you say maybe like 80% of this movie is all on Ryan Reynolds' shoulders, I think. I think he carries 60, a lot.
I would say 60%.
60%. I'd slide it a little bit higher, especially when he starts getting he starts just going, he starts almost overdoing it, like he kind of is overplaying this character with some of the humor and the things that he says, but I'm sure we'll get into that later. So all that stuff, Ryan Reynolds just getting to do his thing, the video game stuff, that's pretty much that's all it is. There's not a lot to it outside of that. It's very Ready Player One, so I did really enjoy it. Things I didn't like, I wish they could have actually used the entirety of Mariah Carey's fantasy album. I would have liked to hear.
I want to slap you sometime.
I would have liked to hear Old Dirty Bastards verse come on there as well. Yeah. Let him drop a couple bars, and things like that.
Baby, come on.
Can you name another song? Can you name another song from that album, John?
There's tons from that. One Sweet Day is on that album, I believe. If you don't remember, with Boys to Men. There's also Melt Away. I think Always Be My Baby is also from that album. It's been a while actually.
We're gonna
I've delved
fact
into
check
my
that.
Mariah
That seems like just her greatest hits, John. I don't believe that's actually.
Let me see.
I think you're just naming songs that are the Mariah Carey catalog. So
No, that was a crazy album.
I'm ready to submit my resignation from this show.
Hey Rob, we were talking about Gobsmack before.
Yeah, you guys went crazy.
We were talking about rock music and Edwin and I'm Mother Earth.
Okay, so Mariah Carey's Daydream album features Fantasy, Underneath the Stars, One Sweet Day, Always Be My Baby, I Am Free, When I Saw You Long Ago, Melt Away, which I did mention, Forever, and Daydreaming Interlude and Looking In. So I got pretty much all the hits on that album.
You threw some random ones in there. Nonetheless,
no, I didn't. Go back to the tape.
Play the tape.
And I throw out all the major hits from that track. Okay. The only you asked for things we hated. I gave it to you. Yeah, more Mariah Carey songs. I did not.
Where am I?
I mean, if Stu lets me go, I can fill the entire podcast with Mariah Carey.
Honestly, most of the time,
I'm pretty sure he's gonna mute
Rob,
me after.
I don't know what you're complaining about.
Couple bars.
Most of the time, John says, "I got nothing." For once, he's got something, and now you're like,
you're complaining.
Are you really?
You know what?
Are you doing this?
It's the substance.
Rob is also
of
turning
the
red
something.
because he doesn't know.
It's the substance of the something he has.
Rob is going to hate episode 5 of just to let spoiler alert of Ted Lasso because it's a John episode. Ted Lasso episode 5 season 2. I was grinning from ear to ear because I loved the episode, and I know John's gonna love it, which is why the pre-tape I'm like, John, download Ted Lasso. You got to get on it. Rob is gonna send me a message when he finally watches Ted Lasso episode 5. He's like, "You're right. I hated this damn episode." Because the whole plot line involves around romantic comedies. So
great.
That's it, and that's John's wheelhouse. Rob,
hey,
what did you like? What did you dislike?
First of all, I enjoyed the movie. I've said this before in the Heroes World Psychic or the Hey What I Miss show. If you were on the fence about seeing this movie in the theater, you definitely owe it to yourself to go if you have the opportunity, the time, or whatever. If you're questioning whether you need to see it in 3D, you don't. I saw it in 3D. I spent the extra money. There was nothing in the movie that warranted the 3D upgrade. So that all being said,
yeah, not even an option in our area. You can't see anything in 3D where we are, Steve. Right? I don't even see the listings on any of.
Yeah. Sorry. So
you said it was trash. What are you apologizing for? We missed out on it, and you just said
you saved money. You guys saved yourselves $18 extra. I enjoyed the movie. It felt like it took a lot of other pre-existing movies. There's a lot of the Lego movie vibe.
Oh yeah.
Right, like really intense, and maybe purposefully they may have cribbed a little bit from that. I've read a lot of articles, after seeing the movie, where a lot of people are saying this is the best video game movie. I think it's a bit of a misnomer in that this is not a pre-existing IP that's been translated into a movie from a video game. But that being said, I understand why they're like, it's the best representation of living life in a video game that we've probably seen.
Oh yeah.
Yes, Ryan Reynolds does his Ryan Reynolds thing. It's, and so you're either, really like him or you're like, I could not care for him. I would say this. If you're not a Ryan Reynolds fan, there is still a lot more in this movie that is rewarding, and I'll touch on that after. It's gorgeous. I think it looks great. Like it's very vibrant. It pops. It's bright. I like the whole idea about the IP, about their. So you've got Molotov Girl and the programmer Keys. They have created this game that gets sold to a bigger company, and they start to realize that what they had created, their AI that was supposed to be evolving, kind of like a Lemmings almost, that it is starting to show, and that's how this whole these characters start to evolve and whatnot. It does,
Imagine if Lemmings gained sentient life and was like, "Why are you just sending us to our?" Because that's basically what you would do in Lemmings. For you young cats, Lemmings was a game where you had these little dudes and they would run around and you would build contraptions for them to get to a certain goal. But what most of us ended up doing was figuring out different ways to kill these poor guys. So imagine if one of them turned around and was like, "What are you doing?" And
Why
just
am I
kind
dropping
of
off
like,
cliffs all the
it
time?
kind of made you feel like a horrible bastard for just murdering masses and masses of them. So shout out to Lemmings.
But there's also that. What was that? There was another game that was kind of like that.
The new version of that is Oddworld, where you now
Civilization. Is that the one as well? Is it Civilization where you start to build up and people
build a civilization, but you don't murder them.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
So at any rate, so John said, this is very Grand Theft Auto-ish. It is. I've never played the online portion of Grand Theft Auto. I'm original OG, like
it is
GTA
exactly
3, Vice City.
this game. The bank robberies, everything. It's exactly.
So like that type of stuff. Like I do play some online stuff, but generally, like if I'm playing the campaign of GTA 3 or 4 or whatever, or Vice City, I've always thought, hey, you got these characters walking around, so you can relate. If you are not an online gamer like John is, you can still relate if you've played video games in the past. Overall, like it's a fun movie. There is, and I'm not going to spoil it for those. There is a really cool ending part in the final boss battle. We'll
talk about it now. It doesn't even matter. We've already said spoilers and everything. So tell me.
So sorry. Okay, so I got to tell you that when he's battling Dude, right? Yep. He's got his face on it, and all of a sudden he goes through his HUD and he brings up, and you see something, you're like, wait, was that a shield? And then all of a sudden it's the Captain America shield, and you've got the music intro from Infinity War, right? Or Endgame. And you see Chris Evans saying, "What the shit?" Like that for me. Oh man, and then all of a sudden it turns into he's got then the lightsaber that then turns into the Hulk hands. It goes to a lightsaber and then the Fortnite pickaxe. Like it was so cool to see that stuff, because that's the last like 10 minutes of the movie. You don't see any hints of any other pre-existing IP throughout this movie.
Product integration,
and you almost kind of wonder, like when we left, my son and I were like, man, I love that. We'd love to have seen that. And I said, you know what? As much as we would have liked to have seen that earlier, it would have ruined the ending if you kind of expecting, well, what other type of
they kept it under wraps. I'm surprised I didn't get spoiled.
Yeah, me too. So I really love that. I appreciated that. I enjoyed it. It was just a lot of fun. The movie's a lot of fun. My question though is this one of those movies that you can throw on when you get it at home or when it hits Disney Plus or whatever, that you're going to have multiple repeat viewings? And I'm just not sure, because I kind of feel,
I think there's a lot you missed, Rob. Like I think
well, no,
one of the questions later.
Yeah, Rob doesn't read the questions. It's fine.
I do. Well, do you want me to tell you what I didn't like?
Care.
Do I tell you what I didn't like? Because John,
that's probably that's actually the question, Rob. It was what you like and what you didn't like.
Do you want me to tell you what I didn't like? Taika Waititi.
Oh, really?
I did not like his character. I thought he was way too ridiculous.
Isn't that supposed to be?
But we're going to talk about casting.
Isn't that supposed to be like a character you're not supposed to like? Like, isn't
no? But what I'm but I didn't not like him because like, oh, he's so dastardly. I was like, he's just such a. It just didn't seem right. It didn't seem like he was just way too juvenile and stupid. Like, listen, I got gray hair starting. Okay, I'm a 45-year-old guy. I'm a man child. Look at the shit that's behind me.
Yeah, 98 Degrees was a long time ago.
But I know you're still enjoying your BTS days, but BTS
is still hot right now.
I just didn't appreciate his portrayal as this character.
First of all, before I say anything else, BTS Army, the do not attack John and myself. It's underscore the 905. Rob, please bomb him with your hate. BTS Army, I love you. I love BTS. John and myself do not condone. The views are respected by Rob Godet do not reflect the views of John and myself, who are part of the BTS Army. You're the best rap monster. Yeah. Carry on.
Yeah.
Permission to dance, hot track.
I just wasn't a fan of his portrayal. I also didn't like his under thing. The guy that was Key's friend. I can't remember looking for his name right now. But anyways, he was just he just flip-flopped.
I think it was Mauser.
Mauser, yeah. And the last thing I want to say that I really actually hated.
I liked him.
The last thing that really bugged me is when Taika goes in to destroy the mainframes. He's taking like the fire axe
servers.
to the servers, and he's hitting all these. I'm like, okay, like I get it for the purpose of the movie, and you see like all of a sudden each server is, I guess, renders certain portions of the world, but I was just like, generally if you take one out, they all start to kind of domino effect, and he's swinging the axe like he's Thor.
You could flip the power switch as well.
Yeah, you could have just done that. I thought that was a little bit weird. So at any rate, at the end of the day, like those
dramatic
are
effect.
Minor gripes. It's a fun movie, and if you have a kid right now, if you have a child who is playing video games, who's playing Fortnite or any of those games, like if you have a child between the ages of like say 9 and 17, well 15,
they're doing the exact same things that
you are really going to. They would really like this movie, so I would definitely recommend it for them as well.
Yeah, the Mauser character, I think he is in Never Have I Ever, so I only know him from that. But apparently he's done a bunch of other things. But he's great in that show. He plays a teacher. All right, John. So now that we've talked about pluses, minuses, things you liked, what you didn't like, what do you rate this out of 10?
Out of 10, I kind of struggle with it. I want to give it an 8, but I think the theater experience is just like boosting it up a little bit. So I kind of want to be conservative on this one until I rewatch it, because I think there is a lot going on. Like apparently there was a Hugh Jackman cameo and a Rock cameo.
It's all voices, yeah.
They're all of them are in the movie. There's John
and then there's like little things like if you look at Ryan Reynolds' original HUD, I think the only thing he had was a friendly slap or something like that, which is pretty funny. I think I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10 right now.
Rob?
Yeah, I'm going to go 7.5. I agree with John. I think seeing in the theater, we've talked about this in the past kind of movies that we've seen and we've been reviewing. If you've seen it in the theater, because it's been so long, I think it kind of skews a little bit of your appreciation for movies. So I'm going to go with 7.5 though.
All right, John, unanswered questions. Is there anything about this?
What about acting performances? Are we talking about that?
Well, you already covered it, smart guy.
You already covered a lot of it because you didn't like
Reynolds shines.
Yeah. And then John mentioned Ryan Reynolds.
There was somebody I wanted to mention specifically, but okay, that's fine.
We'll go to it in a second after John.
Yeah.
Now you know the questions. You're jumping ahead on one, and now
now he's reading the questions.
Now he's like, let me read the questions. Mm-hmm.
Sorry,
John,
what are we doing now? We're doing unanswered questions.
Anything that you were like, this didn't make sense to me. Like how
not really,
how Ryan Reynolds could do anything he does in the game.
They explain it why he kind of triggers and becomes like I do question how he got the sunglasses. Like, does he get them every day? Like the mechanics of once he has obtained the glasses that all the other users use, it's kind of question. They don't really kind of cover it, so that's definitely an unanswered question. But I didn't like. Who cares?
But even the thing about the kissing thing too. She's like, oh, he can't even. He can do it, and then later on when she kisses him, how can she kiss him when she's like, there's no button for it? So again, it's like, oh wait,
that's a good one. That's a good one.
She's like,
but that is one of my favorite scenes, though.
Yeah, she's like, oh, she kisses him. Like, wait, but there's no button for it. How did you do it? I was like, I sat there, I'm like, oh, this movie doesn't make sense at all anymore.
And then they pan out, and she's sitting in front of her computer with their like sweater or blanket on it. Yeah. It is so funny, that scene. But yeah, other than. Yeah, no, there probably is. I guess there is a ton of unanswered questions, but it's like stuff that doesn't matter. I question how his buddy came back, because they don't really. He's just like, I disappeared and now I'm here. It's like, okay, so I guess
I am not going to lie. Every time I heard that, I just heard, "I'm not your friend, buddy. I'm not your buddy, guy." I'm like, "I'm not your guy, friend." It's like that's from South Park, where the Canadians are like fighting against each other. It's like that. Every time I heard in their name, I was like, "Oh, hopefully that was what Ryan Reynolds was thinking." It's like guy, buddy, like the whole thing back and forth with the Terrence and Phillip the movie. Anyways, for those who watch South Park, but yeah. Rob, any unanswered questions?
Yeah, a couple of them. You guys made a good point on the whole kissing thing. Generally, now I've never been escorted from a place of employment, although I have seen it done. You're not usually allowed to take your computer with you. So when Keys is escorted and he flips open, he's still connected to their internet. He's still able to really quickly program this stuff. I thought, like, this is the thing. We talked about this last week when we talked about like the James Bond stuff, and we were talking about how Elliot Carver grabs his and he just does this. He just starts typing like. sometimes like the portrayal or the use of computers in movies drives me absolutely batty because this shit doesn't.
Oh yeah, there's a ton of questions for this one. Yeah.
So yeah, that really bothers me. I actually kind of thought that they were going to explain why Keys chose to stay in as opposed to being a programmer. Was it R&D or was it the customer support or something?
It's not clear. It's not clear.
I think, yeah, I was like, I can't remember what division he refused to kind of, and I was like expecting him to be like, because this is his easiest way to get into to keep data mining to try to find his original creation. But why are you slimming it? And even Taika's character says, like, why aren't you come up with me, come up to the programming area, this is where you belong. He goes, no, I'm gonna stay down. But why? We never really understood that. So for me, I was like, I'm not feeling that. I don't understand. It felt like a plot thread that was supposed to pay off and just never did. Yeah. So maybe it is.
It would be better if he was always the mole, but like the reluctance of like, it just makes sense. He's like, oh, now I'll help you. I'm like, wait, shouldn't you have been the mole the entire time? But
yeah, so I didn't understand any of that. And yeah, so I mean, there's a few little things, and I think I'd have to go back and kind of watch it again to really to understand.
Yeah, to your point.
You know what it was? The Channing Tatum's, which was a really funny character, but his real life counterpart, the player, the guy who he plays like the awkward looking teen in like almost everything.
He's like 40 years old. You know that, right?
No, I know. Yeah, but he's like from Stranger Things to Fear Street to he's in everything.
He's an old man who plays 16-year-old kids. I'm like, he just has such a unique look that they're like, we're gonna use you. It's kind of like he's the new DJ Squalls. For all those kids who don't know who DJ.
Yeah, that's true. From New Guy. So, but how did he capture? Like, he saved the video file on the server. I was like, wait, what? Like, I don't know. It's just some of that. When I like, so John will know when he plays Fortnite, if he wants to save his game, he saves it locally to his PS4. You don't save it to the cloud.
Maybe that was
server.
his PS4 that they were trying to, go
it just anyways, and so understanding when they're trying to break into that whole entire vault to steal this stuff, I literally thought they were breaking into the like. I was expecting Taika Waititi's character to have. It was him. Kind of like Nolan Sorrento in Ready Player One. I figured he would be in some contraption. He's controlling. I figured he would be a player. That was his. No, it was this Channing Tatum gamer guy. I was like, that's the guy we're breaking. Like, what are we talking about? So anyway, whatever. It's still a fun movie.
Yeah, there are a lot of questions. You generally once the movie
I think there's too many. Like there's too many that you just start ignoring them after a while. You're just like,
and it's funny because if this was a Fast and the Furious movie, just don't like, they just do a good job of not answering any questions. It's like they're like, you don't need to know. We had a life before this. So it's funny we're nitpicking, but if it was Han and like Hobbs doing it, we'd be like, no problem. They just it's all good. So
they would just like moving like, no, don't look over there, look over this way. Like,
it's just we're nitpicking, but frankly, if you like it, you will just you won't really worry too much about it. It's like, as we discussed in our Fast 9 trailer, how we're able to engineer a button that goes 1 to 9 on giant magnets so quickly.
Yeah.
They just did it. It just makes no sense, but they all had a life before this, and you just go through it. Quickly, performances. We'll jump back to it. Rob, was there a standout performance? Clearly, you had someone
for me, Joe Keery, who played Keys in this, and you would recognize him from Stranger Things. I said to my son when we left, I said, this kid, he's got such charisma on this. Like,
did you turn to old time? He's like, this kid, he's got it. You see?
You see this kid over here? There's something about this kid. He's got something about him. What is it? Something in the way he moves, the way he speaks on the camera.
Straight to the top.
The camera loves this kid.
He'll be in those talkies.
It's gonna be a star. I say a star.
Like a young Frank Sinatra.
You failed, John. But he is. I like when he was on the screen. I was like, just watching him and his performance. I got that when I was watching, especially the second season of Stranger Things. He was a lot more of a rounded character, and in this, Like, I'm just surprised that he hasn't rocketed up the stratosphere, to be very honest with you. I mean, there's something about why he's got this great screen presence, is I guess the word I was looking for. And I'm just very surprised that we don't see him in kind of his trajectory going higher and higher, because I think he's got something that I think will, hopefully we'll see more of, because I thought he was just great in this.
John, is there a performance that popped up to you above all others?
Yeah, for sure. Random bombshell girl that was just like in the car with everybody. Phenomenal. Phenomenal.
That's the girl from The Matrix in the red dress walking by.
Really sold that character. But yeah, no, it was pretty much like I mentioned before. It's the Ryan Reynolds show with friends. His buddy, I don't know that actor's name, was basically doing
Laurel Howery.
His best Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
But it worked. I thought he was awesome. Like I really liked how he sold it. But yeah, like Rob said, that guy, I'm not familiar with him because I haven't watched Stranger Things. But I thought he was pretty good, even though I cared the least about their storyline.
I was surprised you weren't going to say Ninja as the performance.
Yeah.
I didn't recognize it. Pat had to point it out to me. He's like, "That's Ninja." I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah.
There's a few of them, right?
Yeah. Shout outs to Canada's own Pokimane. Shout outs to you.
Yeah.
She was the only girl streamer on that whole thing.
Yeah.
All right. We do know the information. Ryan Reynolds is like, we're getting a sequel. It dropped. What is your pitch for movie 2? What can they do, John? Because
I questioned how they could do. I felt like they wrapped that up pretty good. So unless they do a prequel, or they do the trash that is Free City 2, because what's the Antoine or whatever, he gets to retain the rights and release this trash bag of Free City. So I guess it could be Free City 2, and he puts a Ryan Reynolds NPC in there as like a like a FU, and then he turns out to like kind of like change the game or something like that. I thought they wrapped it up pretty nice. I was surprised when they announced the sequel.
Yeah, it could be another clone, or basically Ryan Reynolds playing an evil version of himself, and that's pretty much it. Because that's
maybe they flip it and he's the bad guy of that Free City 2.
Something's going on. Rob, do you have any ideas outside of going to space?
Yeah, because if you're not gonna strap a Ford Fiero, whatever the hell it was.
Yep, Ford Fiero. Yep.
Thanks.
Pontiac
the only thing I could think of,
we're just doing just to piss you off, John. It's it's like going to talk to a Greek
no, I actually
I'd like a gyro, please. Can I get a gyro?
A gyro.
Yeah.
It's like going to Johnny's Hamburgers and asking for lettuce on your burger. You're not going to get it. And if you're from Scarborough, you know what that means. Okay. I thought about this because I was like, oh, why would they be doing a sequel? The only thing I could think of, though, is that this new realm that that had been opened up, the original IP, this Everworld or whatever it was called. Yep. It's supposed to be a utopia, and people are, everybody's gonna be good. Obviously, somebody is going to enter this utopian world and be bad, and they're going to try to corrupt the other NPCs, and I think it's going to be up to Guy and Buddy and somebody else to try to win back and show that it's going to be an allegory. It's going to be an allegory of humans are flawed, but we can redeem ourselves and strive to be better, and that's probably what's going to happen.
You guys are missing the golden opportunity because you guys don't see the big picture that I'm seeing right now.
Right, what's Stu's pitch?
My big picture
I actually came up with another one. We'll see if it's the same.
My big picture idea is that this is a game, of course, that emulates a first-person shooter. But what if they go, because they're video games, he gets pushed into a World of Warcraft game where it's all swords and shields, and all of a sudden now it becomes a medieval style thing where he's going around fighting dragons. And then the
Ryan Reynolds hasn't done a medieval project, I don't think.
Medieval project. And then the next thing will be like, Fast and Furious. We'll just do, once Fast and Furious is over, they can start doing a Gran Turismo car racing game and move into that one. And then once that's done, we'll do like a full into space. Like every type of game of different backgrounds, they can basically shift into it and do a brand new Ryan Reynolds in a new situation. So it's either car racing or medieval or military shoot 'em up, or any of the Dota, like you name your movie, you could just fill him in, and then that's it. That's the he's gonna. It's like Quantum Leap. He's trying to find his way back to the server, and now he's got pushed out, and he's jumping from game to game,
like a Wreck-It Ralph
to
like
try to get home.
Kind of stuff.
100%. Each time, like, will I get home? And then he shows up. He's like, geez, car racing, and now he has to do car racing to get back to this utopia. So it's a 10 picture situation where you can go. And then the last
by
one
the time he's done, he'll be like 80 years
yeah.
old.
The last one he's done, he's like in The Sims. He's like having dinner with Andre. He's like sitting there having like it's like a dating simulator game. My dinner with he's having a date simulator game, because those are really popular too. He's like, no, and then finally he gets home. So
man, I sucked at The Sims. I don't know if you guys ever got deep into that game.
No.
My character would always die after like a certain.
That's because you kept playing. Think they were lemmings. That's why.
Yeah. Maybe I was trying.
You
to
also have to shower, John, in that game. You can't be like Leo DeCap.
It was really weird. Yeah. I got one more pitch, Stu, and it is bringing Ryan Reynolds out of the game, because now he is a sentient life form, and it would be a spiritual successor to Short Circuit, where it's like Free Guy Alive kind of thing, and they're trying to introduce him into the real world, and it's like, this is the real world now. So that's the next movie, I think.
Got it.
I say we're in the business of reviewing retro is cool. Somebody takes Guy and slaps him into an old NES cartridge, and he has to play through. Yes, he has to play through Super Mario Brothers and run through.
They pretty much did that Ready Player One, where they lined up and started playing So all the people lined up in their virtual suits to play an 8-bit game on I think it was
Free Guy ends up on OnlyFans and realizes it's not. Thankfully, he doesn't have to disrobe to get his money.
I'm not gonna touch that one.
That's what they said.
Alrighty then. So we talked about this movie coming out in the theaters. I think Rob's already mentioned it, and all of us kind of saw it in the theaters. You two saw it in the theaters and whatnot. Do you recommend people go to the theater, or is this a better experience watching at home if you kind of had the choice? Is it box office worthy, or should have this been just a streaming film? Because I could see it either way, either being like a Netflix drop, or
as far as a blockbuster or like a movie theater experience, if you feel safe and comfortable doing so, I think this is 100% a movie that you want to have the big sound, you want to have the popcorn, you want to have the explosions, you want to have maybe a small group of friends with you to laugh along. But I could totally see if this was a streaming only movie, I could totally see that happening. But that movie theater experience just it knocks it up a notch or two, I think.
How many people were in your theater, John?
Ours was okay, but a funny thing happens is, because the seats, when you book your seats, two seats next to you have to be emptied, as well as the row in front of you, as well as the row behind you. So it was kind of weird. It definitely wasn't a full theater, and we did go see it. I think we saw it Saturday night, so I was concerned that it was going to be more crowded, but it was still pretty empty. It wasn't like Snake Eyes, where we basically had a private showing, but the Snake Eyes has got its own problems.
Yes, it is.
I don't know how.
Let us know in the comments if you want us to do that review, because we'll do it. It just, we need enough. We need to really be pushed, because it is rough. Rob, how many people were in your theater?
Yeah. So listen, again, these are questions that if we didn't have a pandemic, it would be a great question. Is like, is this worth the money you spend in the theater or not? It's a different situation. John's right. We've said this before. It depends on whether you're safe. Now, my strategy for this is my third movie I've seen in the theater since they've reopened in July. I've already got my tickets to see Shang-Chi. I strategize. My son and I go. I pick my seats of where is blocked off in other areas, and we pick earlier times. We went to a 3:45 show, or a 4:45. Sorry, there was 5 people, including us, so 3 others in the entire theater. When we left the 7 o'clock showing, there was a lot of people that were coming. It was a Friday night too, so a lot of people had gotten home, off of work, had dinner, and were now heading to the theater. So yes, for me, this is definitely, like I said, if you if you were a family, if you're a, whatever, you've got a couple of kids, you want to take your son, you want to take your daughter, mom wants to take the kids, whatever, this is a good experience, a good movie to go to see in theaters if you can do so safely and you feel comfortable doing it. It's a lot of fun. Can you bypass a theater and still enjoy it at home? Yes, you totally can. But there's not a lot of entertainment accessible for families right now in theaters. And so if you're looking, I am never going to complain about the hot days of summer because we don't get enough of them. This is the type of shit I think about when I'm freezing my ass off shoveling my driveway. So, but if you need an escape, if you're dying of the heat right now, this is something you can go do.
Of course. So this is the question Rob was willing to answer before. Would you watch this movie again? Is it something that you need to watch again, or would it be something that maybe if it's on, I'll rewatch it again on TV? Maybe, but will you go out of your way to rewatch this film?
Yeah, I think this is going to require at least one rewatch. If you saw it in theaters, a rewatch at your own home where you can kind of pick up all the little things. Like I think there's a whole bunch of like other I don't know if you would call them inside jokes or whatever. Like if you play a lot of these online massive multiplayer games, there's a lot of inside jokes, a lot of NPCs in the background walking into stuff and just glitching out, which is pretty humorous. And I think we probably didn't notice all of them upon first viewing just because there's so much going on.
Yeah. Rob?
Yeah, no, I definitely want to see it again. And I agree with John. It's much like, listen, I was a huge fan of Ready Player One, the book. I read that way before I saw the movie. I enjoyed the movie when I saw it in theaters, but I did require a couple more viewings at home because there are so many characters in the background, so many other things that you just don't pick up. Mm-hmm. I mean, we've talked about movies from like the original Superman movie, and there are still things that people are like, oh my God, I never realized. I've seen the movie 1,000 times. I never realized. So like, yes, this is worth it. There's a lot. It's a payoff. My only question, what I was trying to pose earlier is this one of these movies that you're going to continuously watch? It's going to be on your rotation of like your favorite films or whatever. Mm-hmm. I don't know, but I would definitely this for me. I would purchase this on Blu-ray when it comes out. Like I would watch this again for sure.
Would you buy a video game version of this?
No. No.
I'm just saying,
just asking. All right. So in terms of Ryan Reynolds films, where does this fall? This is a classic. Where does it fall into as a classic film? Is it just in the middle? Like, where does this kind of fall into his filmography?
I don't think it's going to replace classics like Van Wilder and even his Deadpool stuff, but it is one of like his main, like he is the main character. He gets to do everything. He gets to do his action. He gets to do his comedy. He does a little bit of romance in there. And he generally does look pretty good, like especially when he changes. Like Rob's got the polo shirt on, but when he changes to the tighter blue shirt, he looked like he was in pretty good shape as well too. So I think this is it's not going to be his best.
6 Underground.
It's definitely better than 6 Underground because I can't get through that shit. I don't know what it is with that movie. Every time I fire it up, I've tried like so many times because everyone's like, it's pretty fun. Yep. It's just it doesn't come together for some reason, that movie, whereas this one does. And like we said before, if this was a streaming movie, I think it would have worked as a streaming movie because there's enough going on that you're not gonna one of the big problems with streaming movies is you watch the first little bit and then there's so much out there that you're like, what else am I missing? And you skip to the next thing that you want to watch or whatever. This one has enough that it's gonna grab you. It's definitely above Safe House and some of his not as hot. I think I would like this better than his Hitman's Bodyguard. I haven't seen 2 yet, but I definitely probably think I'd enjoy this more than Hitman's Bodyguard 1. Is it better than Deadpool 1 and 2? That's a toss-up. I think I have to watch it one more time before I decide if I like seeing him in this original property over playing a Marvel established character. So I don't know if it quite sits there. And yeah, obviously you can't touch classics like
Green Lantern,
Van Wilder.
Green Lantern.
Yeah, I was gonna say Green Lantern is definitely at the very bottom of the list of his movies.
All right. Is there a recommendation for a comic then? Oh wait, Rob was gonna ask you.
Rob I think likes Foolproof better than this movie, right? And Smoking Aces.
Yeah, I think this is the thing. Ryan Reynolds has got an interesting career where he's got movies that are probably not appropriate for kids, like Deadpool.
Although
And
every kid I know has seen it.
There's a recut.
Yeah.
There's a recut.
I have it.
It is not good.
Once Upon a Deadpool. Actually, no, it's not that bad. The Once Upon a
I don't know.
Deadpool
I
on
didn't like it.
Deadpool 2 is actually, that's the first one I showed my son, and it is actually, it's bearable. I can watch it, and it has its own things. It is quite funny, John. But you've got Free Guy, you've got Detective Pikachu, you've got John's second favorite movie, The Proposal. He's The Chain. There are some movies in which Ryan Reynolds is a bit more accessible to the family lot, right? As opposed to the run and gun stuff with Deadpool and everything else that you've seen. So the problem is that he makes a lot of his marketing is accessible to everybody regardless of the age.
Yep.
But not all of his movies are that accessible. So with that being said, I would put this in the middle, the upper portion of the middle of his filmography. I actually I got the Deadpools up there and everything else, but I would put that, if he had let's say, 10 movies, I would say this would be in the top 6, right? So, yeah.
Right.
So, yeah.
I think, I agree. One of his top movies, I think, at the moment.
Not the top 5, but yeah, it's in the middle.
Yeah.
In the middle.
What's in Stu's top 5 then?
There's a lot of fun Ryan Reynolds movies that are probably The Proposal is one of his really good movies in terms of the comedy and what that movie is. Me and Rob are a big fan of Buried, so I think that's a very good tour de force movie for him,
and completely different.
Yeah.
Yes.
I kind of I'm not gonna lie, I like Safe House with him and Denzel. It's a very interesting.
I find it starts off very good. He's not playing typical Ryan Reynolds, and then all of a sudden a switch gets flipped, and now he's this jokey kind of comedic dude. At the beginning, he's very serious, this. Yeah. Anyway, Safe House, you can watch it.
And then there's of course Deadpool 1 is one of the movies that it fits really well. And then Van Wilder is the quintessential thing. That's 5 movies that are way above. And that's actually him in the movie. I'm not counting Harold and Kumar, although he has a great cameo in that one, just as a few seconds in and out.
But he's got a lot of cameos, right?
And secretly, and again, I think for me, I could probably throw Waiting in almost in the top 5 as well, because someone who worked in the restaurant industry, there's a nuance to Waiting if you haven't seen it,
right?
Where it's he works in a restaurant, and anyone who's working in the restaurant industry the archetypes of all those characters are there, and it's a fun movie to watch. It's not good enough to be in the top 5, but it's probably 6. And then 7 would be I kind of a sucker for Just Friends, where it's him and Amy Smart, he's the fat friend and he goes away, comes back, and he's kind of thing. And then Anna Faris plays the movie star that he represents, and she tries to come in and do this random stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of fun kind of goofy Ryan Reynolds movies that just are way above Free Guy. As much as we talked about that 1 30-second scene where he gets the shield and the lightsaber, that's super fun, but
well, this is a good highlight reel. If you're looking for a highlight reel for Ryan Reynolds and what he can do, it covers all his bases.
Yeah, but again, I feel like he's sleepwalking through this movie, where it's you can do all this stuff, but it doesn't. He's not trying. It's not like he's pushing himself to do anything different. It's you hear all the stories that Ryan Reynolds pushed Disney at the very end. Can we do this? Can we do that? I don't think all this stuff was meant to be there until the very end. Yeah, when he got the Disney licensing stuff did, and outside of Robin, we can both agree probably on this. Act 1 and Act 2 were so meh that it required that scene plus the end to push it to a decent movie.
Yeah.
As opposed to I Am Legend, where the first act is so good and then it's a descending fall from 2 and 3, and you're oh my god. So that movie, from a movie theater perspective, is safe because you paid the movie and you're forced to watch it, and you're oh, I gotta see it to the end. I'm not sure if many people who are streaming at home, they might just not finish it. They might just zone out.
There's a potential.
And if you're not completely concentrating on Free Guy to the end where the payoff comes in, you would be whatever, this movie's meh.
I guess if it doesn't hook you with that kind of oh, I've lived this online life before, you're okay, I don't get it.
And that's the problem with a movie like this, where the first act is so meh and the second act is just whatever, and the third act really rewards you for watching this movie. And then when there's other movies where, like I said, I Am Legend is my go-to. There's some really good films that start with Act 1 being amazing.
Well, you
And
can even
everything's
go
just
World
wrong.
War Z
Yep.
or World War Z for our American friends, right? It's the same thing as I Am Legend. First 2 acts in that movie are phenomenal. And then all of a sudden they get to the WHO with a doctor from WHO called Peter Capaldi, who became Doctor Who. And you're just like,
Yes.
and now you're just walking around tiptoeing and that's the end of the movie, tiptoeing to try to get the anti-venom or serum or whatever. Like you're like, what happened to the action and the running zombies and shit?
Yeah,
So
it's there's a lot of movies guilty with that.
Yeah.
But that's the nature of this. So John, do you have a comic or something you can recommend for people that enjoy Free Guy?
Yeah. So we've mentioned a couple times already. Ready Player One. You 100% have to watch that if you dig this. I really regret not seeing that one in the theaters. I don't know what it was if another movie came at the same time, but I missed it out. I watched it at home and I really enjoyed that one.
It's fine.
I don't know. For some
it's
reason
not-
I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it.
To be fair, I liked watching it more at home because I could pause and see there's so much coming at you in that movie that, with all the Easter eggs, you're like, oh, it's too much. I watched the theater. I'm like, it's too much.
Yeah.
It's like,
overload.
It's
well, yeah,
kinda-
especially if it's in 3D or whatever, I could see. Yeah, you're like, okay, that's too much. But yeah,
it's
do
like
regret
I wanted
not
to
seeing it.
like I don't mind on Easter, like to your point, when you see the Captain America shield, it's like it's focused on that and you don't see anything else. But imagine if there was a million other Marvel like things coming at you at the same time. You're like, it's like the HUD. It's like too fast for you. But I'm sure people have gone through and seen all the like Easter eggs in it. And to Rob, your point where there's like a friendly slap. Like there's so many things that people are doing, but when it's going that quickly, you just can't see it all. But sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no. So I would recommend that. And then there was a comic that kind of gives a similar vibe. It's not the same theme, but it's under Skybound Entertainment, which is Robert Kirkman's brand or whatever you call it. It's a book called Clone, where this guy kind of is living his life every day and then discovers there's like a whole legion of clones of himself, and they kind of like all band together and go through this crazy adventure. But no really kind of known artists or talent on it, but it was a fun little book that Image released. So if you're into reading something where a character discovers he's not kind of like what he thought he was, and there's something going on, I would definitely check that one out.
Rob?
I would just say,
Are you gonna
we're
go
falling.
default the Fortnite comic?
Yeah, if you want. Well, listen, yes, that is a comic that's The Underwater Welder by Jeff Lemire. If you
He just shows up in Fortnite
but only in the water scenes. I would say, listen, that Fortnite, the Batman Fortnite crossover comic, 0 Point, was way better than it deserved to be. And I think that if you were looking to get, your kids into reading some comics this summer, that's a wicked entry. You could pair that along with this movie, and I think that would be like you'd be the parent du jour of the weekend. They would love that. And so you could definitely go pick up those. John and I have mentioned Ready Player One. And that's a great movie. I would say, though, if you're looking for a good beach read while we're entering these last few weeks of summer, pick up the original Ready Player One, the book by Ernie Klein. It's really good. And if you've seen the movie, there's actually a lot more. There's a lot better references in the book than there are in the movie.
Yep.
And I think you would be very well rewarded with that book, Ready Player One. I'm telling you, I've read it like 3 times because there's just so much in that book, and it's so fun, especially if you're of a vintage like I am. Kid of the 80s, kid of the 90s. They're the rewards, the nostalgia trip that like a drug, it itches in your brain, and you're like, oh my god, and it brings you back. I'm currently reading the sequel, and it's a bit of a slog.
Yep.
So
not surprised.
It's
not the same.
So please definitely heed my warnings. Avoid Ready Player 2. Get Ready Player One. You will honestly love it. And for your kids, get the Fortnite Batman crossover comic. It's a fun ride as well.
John, where can they find you on the internet?
Yeah. So Heroes World Online will take you to our almost all of our social media. So the Facebook and the Instagram, the things that are most active, and all those pictures and all kind of wonderful stuff, links directly to our web store. So if you're looking to buy stuff, or you can get things for in-store pickup, which our physical location also is open, 8601 Warden Avenue. Tons of stuff in there. If you're on the YouTube here, make sure you subscribe, turn on that notifications. We've got content coming at you almost every day of the week. So we've got this podcast every Sunday. We've got the Sidekick Show on Mondays. Andre gives you a rundown of what's new at the store on Tuesdays. On Wednesdays, Andre has a creator kind of discussion with comic creators. Thursday, we run you through our weekly news recap. And Fridays, at the moment, Andre has his Star Wars book club. So if you have not read Heir to the Empire by Timothy Zahn, definitely check that out. It's a lot of fun.
It's the Legends series, by the way. It's Legends.
Is it under
Timothy
Legends?
Zahn. Not the new Timothy Zahn. Just be very clear as to what it is. So it's not canonical.
Yeah,
So
that's
everything that book does not. Yeah, it's different.
Yeah.
Just because people are like, oh, it's the new. No, it's the old one. Just to be clear. Rob.
Okay, so listen very carefully, boys and girls. In 2004, Ryan Reynolds starred as a character called Hannibal King in Blade 3. Because of his portrayal as Hannibal King, a producer said, hey, you know what? You might be really good as a character called Deadpool. And he's like, what the hell's a Deadpool? He stars in Wolverine Origins with and as a really atrocious version of Deadpool, which then begets into the current version. And now we get Free Guy because of all that. But before we get to Blade Trinity, we go all the way back to 1998 with the original Blade, directed by Stephen Norrington, starring Wesley Snipes and Stu's personal selection on his iTunes playlist, Chris Christopherson. So definitely you are going to want to check out the original Blade movie. John, Stu, and myself tomorrow live at 8 p.m. Eastern on the Heroes World Sidekick Show. We are talking about Blade, and it kicked off what potentially could be viewed as the entire Marvel universe and what we get now. That all wasn't for New Line Cinema and Stephen Norrington. So definitely join us tomorrow live, 8 p.m. Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. It is Blade. It is the Heroes World Sidekick Show. And I just did 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon with
Shout out to Donald Logue, Terriers, baby.
6 degrees of Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah,
there you
6
go.
degrees. There we
You're
go.
very welcome.
Where can they find you online, Rob?
Online, you can get me at Instagram or Twitter at the_905, all spelled out. You can get me there. I know I might just have to change that. It's a stupid name.
It's fine. It's good. You've been rocking it all this time.
I'm gonna say Stu's baby boy. That's gonna be my.
I believe that's taken, Rob. You gotta do underscore Stu's baby boy. So
All right,
same
fine.
problem before.
Damn it.
Same problem before. You gotta change it.
Anyways, you can find me there.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us for Free Guy. Needless to say, go watch it. It's fine. It's fine. It's good. You can have it in the background. Or you're probably just going to see the scene with Ryan Reynolds and the shield and a lightsaber. But hopefully Ryan Reynolds will become a Jedi and it'll make Andre super happy. So
It's okay. He doesn't watch any of the new stuff, so that's fine.
Let's
He's
do
fine.
this. Let's do
fine.
this.
No,
He
you
doesn't
know
care about the new
what?
stuff.
You know what? Kathleen Kennedy, as part of Ryan Reynolds having to get in with Deadpool 3, he's like, I want you guys to redo Empire, and I want you to put me in as a Jedi in the background.
He's like,
And there
I
you
could be
go.
Luke Skywalker. Ryan
Yeah,
Reynolds
that's
as
right.
Luke Skywalker.
Deep fake me into the original trilogy movies.
I'll just add a couple jokes here and there.
Yeah.
It'll be great. There we go. So
Yoda won for me.
yeah, and Ryan Reynolds will shut it out this weekend and Ted Lasso. So
That's right. Yeah.
him-
Wrexham
him-
FC.
Yeah, Wrexham SC. Anyways, thank you so much. Have a good one. See you
Thanks,
all next
everybody.
week. Bye.
Nice to see you, Stu.
Wrong button. Whoops.